No. We'll do it live! Fuck it!
I'm Liz.
This is Surly Amy from Skepchick.org.
I'm Keith from Sydney, Australia.
Hello, I'm Daryl Ray, author of Sex and God and The God Virus.
This is Rebecca Watson of Skepchick.org.
I'm Vivian Wheeler from Planned Parenthood.
I am Devin Napoli from Planned Parenthood.
I am Richard Carrier.
I am Monette Richards from Secular Woman.
I am Stephen Olson from Carl Sagan's Dance Party.
I'm JT Eberhard, and I'm a he-thinker who loves the she-thinkers.
I'm Debbie Goddard. I'm from the Center for Inquiry and African Americans for Humanism, and I'm a human thinker.
I'm a Faisal, and I'm a he-thinker, she-thinker, they-thinker, it-thinker.
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Fitzgerald, and oh yes, I am a she-thinker.
No, I turned it down. Hello, and welcome to Secular She-Thinkers.
Hello, everybody.
Where secular girls geek out and justifiably rage about the week's news.
I just almost said I'm Dr. Nick.
Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Dory, joined by my co-host, the Dirty Nerdy.
Hey, everybody.
And our senior discriminated against correspondent, Caitlin Fairchild.
And do I have some stories about being discriminated against?
I have stories about being harassed.
I have stories about both. It seemed like we were all doing the table.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of
thing.
fist smashing tables tonight. Just so everybody knows. Mine aren't all going to be related to what's happening on the show. Some of it will be related to what's happening, like, inside my body. Because everything sucks.
Yep.
Okay, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, our main topic is workplace harassment and discrimination.
Oh, yeah.
Always cheerful. And, of course, we have a slightly different boss and troll segment of the week. We decided that to try to streamline things. From now on, we're going to discuss more in length one troll and one boss for each week.
Oh, damn.
Yep. We'll also have the stupid sexist song, the You're Welcome Hollywood, and tonight's special word. But first, a message from our sponsors.
Should we say what the word is, like, at the beginning of the show? So anytime we say it, like, we play a special sound, like,
okay.
The secret word.
Okay.
Are we going to really do the Pee-wee's Playhouse thing?
I love Pee-wee's Playhouse. Why wouldn't we?
Right?
I think we should do it like it's the secret word.
Do you want to say what the secret word is for tonight?
We have to whisper it so we don't know.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Intersectionality. Can people hear whispers? Should I do like a theater whisper?
Wasn't that your theater whisper? Into the microphone like this?
That was my normal whisper. I was downstairs whispering that, actually. That's how loud my whispers are.
Oh, you should hear Chris's whispers.
I know Chris's whispers.
They're not whispers.
No, they're not. We're like, Chris, can you be a little more quieter? I thought I was!
And a little bit softer now.
That's exactly what I think of.
I need to show him that skit.
He hasn't seen it?
I don't think
that's
so.
Will Ferrell at home. He'll have to borrow that just to watch
just
that.
So he can see that.
I think it only has a part of it. I don't think it has the whole thing. Okay, so a word from our sponsors.
Sponsors, yes. She-Thinkers is sponsored by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/shethinkers. Audible has over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. For every fan who signs up for a free trial, She-Thinkers gets $15.
Woo! Woo!
Again, go to audibletrial.com/She-Thinkers to download any free audiobook of your choice. That's SHETHINKERS, She-Thinkers.
I will never do that jingle.
Well, then
you don't get to be a co-host.
That's why you're not a co-host. Damn it, you stole my joke. It's like, this is why Caitlin's just a senior correspondent and not a co-host.
Yep.
That's fine. I prefer the senior correspondent title.
She's not in it to win it.
Nope.
I'm not in it for the money.
You're just in it for the booze and ass.
Hey, that means we split all the money from all
of that no money.
all $15 that we've gotten so far. Seriously, guys, sign up for this thing. It's super cool.
You should, totally. All right. Dirty Nerdy, do you want to talk about our troll of the week?
What is our troll of the week? I showed up like 30 minutes ago.
Yep.
Apparently, Utah is putting marriage equality on hold.
Thanks to the SCOTUS.
Is the SCOTUS doing it on purpose, or it's just like...
It's a bit of both.
Yeah, it is actually.
I couldn't tell if the Supreme Court was like putting it on hold on purpose, or if it was just the normal course of events that happens to be on the last thing. I don't know. But
they put a hold on the gay marriages in Utah. The Supreme Court did.
The U.S. Supreme Court?
Yep.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Above and beyond that, the governor of Utah said, well, we're not going to recognize the people who already got married. We're not recognizing those marriages.
Yeah, that's what the governor of Utah said. Well, we're not going to recognize the marriages that have already happened.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to recognize your governorship. Because I live in Texas and I don't have to.
Yep, suck on that, Utah.
Utah governor, whatever your name is. Is there a thing open that has his name?
Fuck him, we don't need to know his name. He's the governor of Utah. Who gives a shit?
Well, gay people in Utah who want to get married probably do a little bit. Just throwing that out there.
Fucking Mormons.
I bet he's Mormon.
Yep, I bet he is.
Bet like $10 he's Mormon. Who's betting against me?
See, the Mormons make a bad name for Utah and for poly people. They're just terrible.
Yep. Really nice neighbors, though.
Yeah, and kind of hot in erotica.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Uncle David.
Yep. Now I can't look at Mormon boys with a straight face.
Dude, they come into work. Oh my god. We at least once a week we get a table of Mormon guys that come into work, like missionaries. I guess Olive Garden is nice and wholesome. I don't know.
I guess so.
And I told one of my managers, who's like, we were friends before she became a manager type of thing.
Yeah.
And then she went to a different restaurant and
then came back.
Yeah, I was there for so long that she just came back to me. And anyway, so I told her about Uncle David's Mormon erotica thing. And I was like, yeah, and ever since then I just can't get it out of my head. So now every time Mormon boys come in and she's there, she's just like, shut up, shut up. It's hilarious. I'm like, hey, it's Mormon
boys.
Look at
those Mormon boys.
Look at the Mormon boys. Oh my god.
I just moved last week,
mm-hmm.
and I got fucking woken up
by Mormon boys.
By a pair of Mormon boys at my door.
Seduce them. That's your job.
Yeah,
I
dominate
naked. So here I am coming to the door naked.
Why did you answer the door naked?
I had a blanket wrapped around me, but still.
Bathrobe.
Oh,
get a bathrobe.
She had a blanket wrapped around her.
She
wasn't. You were naked, but you were covered at least.
Yeah, but still.
I wouldn't answer the door in a blanket. Not unless somebody I knew was coming over.
I have before. It was weird. I'm like,
it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, or not even 9 in the morning. 5 o'clock at night. For me, this is like...
Yeah, you work nights.
Yeah,
so.
I work nights. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Who are you? Have you heard about the message of Jesus? Yes, many times. Really? From who? Everybody. I'm a lesbian. Go away.
It's like, really? I live in the United States.
Do you really think I haven't heard about Jesus?
I mean, I don't understand this. It's like, who do they think? Why would they even send missionaries around in the United States?
Because you're not the right kind of Christian yet. You have to be Mormon.
But even so, they think I haven't heard of Mormons. Like, oh my god, this is a completely new thing. I don't even know that.
What? Jesus in America?
What?
What? Native Americans are cursed by God.
No, Native Americans were Jewish. or something.
But the bad Jews are the Redskins, Native Americans.
And also black people, apparently.
Because apparently how...
Until the 60s.
Apparently
and
how...
God changed his mind.
How white your skin is how good you are in the Mormon religion. No. Not anymore, though.
God
apparently.
changed his mind
God changed
back
his
in,
mind.
like, 60s or 70s. Actually, I think it was, like, 1978 or something. It was, like, late 70s.
God was very slowly moved by the civil rights movement.
Very slowly. He saw all that shit going on. I was like, I kind of feel bad for you now. I guess you can get into heaven.
It's like, I should probably do something about that. But man, I got all this other work I gotta do.
You know.
What's another 20 years?
Being God ain't easy. Ask the Mormons.
Yep.
They're like miniature gods, right? They get their own planet or something.
Only the super awesome married Mormons get to have their own planet.
So like we had these Mormon missionaries over for about 2 hours. We're just going to talk about missionaries for a while.
Right.
And then we'll get to
because they all have sex missionaries.
And then we'll get to the boss.
Then we'll get to the boss. Bosh.
You're drunk on root beer.
No, I just feel like shit. And so it's making me giddy for some reason. I don't know. Anyways.
You're doing your taxes.
Shut up. I was talking about something. I was doing taxes earlier. What was I? Okay, Mormon missionaries. So they come to our apartment, and the boy and I are talking to them, and they asked us like what all we wanted to know about Mormonism or something. I don't know. So we just talked about a whole bunch of stuff, and then they started talking about the afterlife, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I told the boy, I was like, hey, we should have them tell us about the afterlife because they have like this cool hierarchy thing. So not everyone goes to hellfire and. So the boy was like, all right, tell me about that. And they drew a diagram of it. We have a...
You've got that whiteboard.
We have a giant dry erase board on our wall instead of a TV. It's what you get for dating an engineer.
Yep.
They have to do math crap on there. And I write the grocery list. So they drew this like giant diagram of the Mormon afterlife. And they get to the end of their whole spiel about it, and I'm like, so, I could, like, just not be a Mormon, but I still never go to hell? And they're like, well, yeah, you'll go to this other place. I was like, is it bad? He goes, no, it's still good. It's still, like, a good place to be. It's just not as good as this one. I was like, but I won't be, like, eternally tormented or anything. They're like, no, and I'm like,
I can live with that.
Okay, I just won't be Mormon then.
No, I like one comedian described it as, well, they don't have hell. It's just like Walmart heaven versus Target heaven.
That's pretty much, yeah. It's like, I don't know. Walmart, 24 hours a day. Target is a little nicer, but it's not 24 hours. I guess I can live with Walmart.
It's like 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah, which one's Kmart though?
That's hell.
That's hell. I don't think Kmart's even exist anymore.
They do.
Hell.
They're still Kmart's. I don't know where the hell they are, but I still get mail from them.
What?
So they must be somewhere.
When did you ever get mail from Kmart?
Like in the junk mail.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know of one out in California.
All right. So how about that boss?
Yeah. Did we have someone to take care of our troll?
We've always got Crazy Eyes.
Okay, I didn't know if we were still doing that or not.
Sure, let's
Since you changed everything on a story.
Yep. Let's unleash
God.
Crazy Eyes.
Okay.
I will cut you! I will cut you, bitch! Don't make me cut you! You know where the fuck you are, bitch! You don't know me!
Yay, Crazy Eyes.
Yay. Taking care of SCOTUS and that Utah governor. Whatever the fuck his name is. Goddamn
Utah
Mormon.
Governor Asshole, that's his name. Excuse me, Governor Asshole.
You mean Rick Perry? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's Governor Good Hair. Totally different.
Governor Ass Hair. There, I said it.
Burn.
Fucking Rick Perry. I just hate him. Can he always be a troll?
He's like an honorary troll. Even when he's not the troll of the week, he's still the troll.
I see a picture of Rick Perry. If it's one smiling, I just
want to punch him in the face.
Yes, he's got one of those faces, and I just want to punch it. I wouldn't, I'm like a pacifist. I don't hurt anyone. But, well, I didn't want to threaten the governor of Texas on the air.
Yeah, no, Caitlin's just joking.
Yes, Caitlin is joking, right, Caitlin?
She's nodding her head.
She's nodding her head, yes, everybody. But, yeah, he's just got one of those faces that just rises up that violent nature in me. I don't know. Okay. So who's our boss this week?
Our boss is Laverne Cox for giving Katie Couric the smackdown about invasive transgender questions.
Anyone who gives Katie Couric the smackdown is a boss.
I know, right?
But especially Laverne Cox.
And then Carmen Carrera's like honorary boss because she helped.
She helped. She was there. She gave that amazing facial expression.
I know.
Like, I can't believe you're asking this again. Like, didn't I just say we don't want to talk about this?
Yeah. Yeah, so in this story, Katie Couric first had Carmen Carrera on, and then her second guest was Laverne Cox. Carmen Carrera is a trans woman who was on RuPaul's Drag Race season 4 or 5, I can't remember which. And then Laverne Cox plays Sophia in Orange is the New Black. Yay. Love that show.
I know, it's playing every time I come over here. Except tonight.
No.
It was weird.
I watched it twice. I figured that was enough.
Okay.
I'm just getting ready for season 2, man.
Oh, you're going to have to tell me when it comes out.
I know.
All right.
You're going to have to come over, have watching parties.
So, Katie Couric sticks her foot in her mouth twice.
Yeah, she
First to Carmen.
Yeah, I want to find the, she basically asked Carmen, your crotch is different than it was when you were born, right? Like, she said something like, your genitals are different now, aren't they? And Carmen makes this face, which is why she's an honorary boss. And then Carmen was nice, and then Laverne was not.
Well,
but Carmen was just like, I don't want to talk about that right now. Let's talk about something else.
yes.
And then when Katie Couric pushed it again, not only that, but she tried to pit Laverne Cox against Carmen Carrera.
Yeah, she said something like,
I know Carmen was uncomfortable with this.
Carmen was uncomfortable
but
talking
maybe you
about
can
this.
Illustrate.
Yeah, I was like, that is so wrong.
Right. Maybe you can tell us about trans women's genitals. And then this is Laverne Cox's response to it. I've got to find it. Here we go.
This is going to be like the whole thing, I think.
I've got it right here.
Well, it's only going to play through this.
No, oh, you're going to pull it up on the actual audio?
And you know what I mean? And it's good to have people like that that are trans out there representing us in a good way. You know what I mean?
I'm so proud of you. I got W Magazine.
Here, let me fast forward.
Lives after me, but the idea of possibility, the idea that I get to live my dreams
out
in public. Hopefully will show other folks that is possible, and so I prefer the term possible.
A little bit when I asked.
Yeah, there it is.
Here we go.
Back it up a little bit.
Back it up. I think all of us want to be educated, and Carmen.
Oh God, pause it.
Oh, I've got a good rant about this
She says
bullshit
this
line.
thing. Okay.
All of us want to be educated.
Yeah, she starts in on this saying like, what do you have to say to people who want to be educated? And this is a question about what their genitals are.
Yep.
It's the dick question. That's what she's asking.
It's always the dick question.
This isn't about being educated. You can go on Google to be educated. You could have a fucking surgeon on your show to be educated.
Oh, I got into this huge
God.
fucking argument yesterday about this shit on...
Really?
Yeah.
You did?
I did.
On the internet?
Yes.
And I wasn't there to see it?
I know.
Fine, okay, what happened?
So, well, at first I just made, a comment, yeah, not all of us want to be your happy to answer every question that you have tranny, or whatever. Some of us just, want to be treated like people. And then
you don't go around asking everybody else whether or not they have a dick. You just don't.
Well, and then this person was responding with, oh, you shouldn't react that way because unless you educate people, you're always going to be oppressed. And it's like, oh, so it's my fault that trans people are oppressed. That's great.
So Google doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because, you know what, I don't even have the internet, but I have it like once a week when I come hang out with Dory. So anything I need to Google, I write that shit down and I look it up when I get to Dory's. I don't stop random people that I think might know the answer and ask them. That's stupid.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, you had two actresses on your show and then asked them about their genitals. If you really wanted to know how SRS works, you would have a fucking surgeon on.
Exactly.
If you wanted to know how hormones work, you would have an endocrinologist on.
These women are not experts on surgery.
No. I mean, Caitlin could back me up. The running mantra in the trans community is your mileage may vary. Because unfortunately, we have to piece together our own health care, basically, which is shitty.
Yeah.
So, especially for people early on in transition, there's like these forums and communities that are online where everybody just shares what's happened to them, and then you just have to kind of amalgamate it to try to figure out what'll happen.
It doesn't necessarily even work out the same way for everybody. I mean, there are plenty of trans women who, after their surgery, it's fully functional. There's plenty of others that it never gains functionality. They never can have orgasm. They're essentially asexual afterwards because they can't function. They're like, whatever.
Yeah, so if you really want to know about these things, get an expert on the show, not a single trans person. And that would be like wanting to ask a question about heart surgery and getting someone who had heart surgery on.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandmother has had heart surgery, but she probably couldn't tell you the ins and outs. She wouldn't know the statistics about anything. You know?
Well, and especially, to me, it's like a bait and switch.
Yeah.
Because they're having them on as actresses. Carmen Carrera is there to talk about whatever TV show she's working on, and Laverne Cox is there to talk about the upcoming season of Orange is the New Black. And then they're like, oh, by the way, tell us about dicks. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like that thing I showed about, I posted earlier today about Hillary, where the interview, she's being interviewed, like, oh, what designers do you like? What,
designers as in clothes?
You mean clothes?
Would you be asking me this question if I was a man?
Did she say that?
Probably not. Yeah, she did.
Holy shit!
I know.
All right, I'll have to listen to that later. But okay, let's listen to.
It's just like they posted it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a quote of hers. Let's listen to Laverne Cox because she's about to lay this out.
About for transition, and she said that people who are not educated about this or familiar with sort of transgenders, they're preoccupied with the
transgenders.
And I'm wondering if you think that's true, and how if you have the same feelings about that Carmen does.
I do. I was very proud of you for saying that. And I do feel like there's a preoccupation with that, and I think that the preoccupation with transition and with surgery objectifies trans people, and then we don't get to really deal with the real lived experiences. The reality of trans people's lives is that so often we're targets of violence. We experience discrimination disproportionately to the rest of the community. Our unemployment rate is twice the national average. If you're a trans person of color, it's 4 times the national average. The homicide rate in the LGBT community is highest amongst trans women. And when we focus on transition, we don't actually get to talk about those things. There's a young woman named Ilan Nettles who on August 17th was just walking down the street with some friends, minding her own business, and she was catcalled by a couple of guys. And one of them, once they realized she was trans, she was beaten into a coma, and 5 days later she died. This is the reality of so many trans people's lives in this country, trans women of color whose lives are in danger simply for being who they are. And we're looking for justice for Ilan's murder, and we're looking for justice for so many trans people across this country. And by focusing on bodies, we don't focus on the lived realities of that oppression and that discrimination.
You're so well spoken.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Katie Couric ends it with, "You're so well spoken."
Ah, fuck off, Katie Couric.
So then she's got a little racism thrown in there too.
It's like, you're so good at telling me why I'm full of shit.
Yeah.
That's really what she's saying right there. Just fuck off, Katie Couric. But Laverne Cox, you're awesome. And Carmen, you're awesome also for being on there and for initially rebuffing that bullshit. Right. I mean, you have one person say, I don't want to talk about this.
I don't think this is appropriate. Let's drop it.
Why would you bring it up again? That's just, it's just terrible.
Because that's all cis people want to know is the dick question. That's all they want to know about you when you're trans.
Like, I don't understand.
It's fucking maddening.
I seriously don't get it. Like, I don't go up to other people and ask, like, what their genitals are. or like, do you like wearing dresses? Like, random shit.
Right?
I don't know.
How did you learn to put on makeup? I don't know, the same way anybody does.
Same way you did? I don't.
Practice?
I don't know how to put on makeup. So I guess I wouldn't ask that question because I still don't know how to put on makeup.
When I was ranting about this on someone else's thread, I said, "What? Some of us get tired of answering the same questions over and over again. How do I have sex? Very well, thank you. What's in my pants? Show me yours first." Like it's all the same bullshit.
I just don't understand that person arguing like, well, if you don't answer questions, then you'll always be oppressed. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Cis people aren't oppressed, and they don't have to constantly. Like,
yeah. I can't grill cis people about what their genitals look like.
I don't have to constantly like tell people what my body looks like.
Or how it got that way.
Exactly. I don't have to sit there and be like, well, when I was 12, my boobs started coming in. A year later, I started my period. I don't think this timeline is correct. I don't remember.
Whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. People can Google it if they want to know how puberty works.
Well, they can't Google it if they want to know how my puberty works. But that's the point.
Yep, exactly. Strangers shouldn't be asking you those things.
It's like, do you want to know what it's like to transition? Go look that shit up on Google.
Right?
You want to know what puberty is like? Go look it up on Google. Why are you asking a random individual what it's like?
And this person was arguing that, well, it's going to be more moving if it's from somebody who's actually experienced it or whatever. And I was like, okay, so if a male host wants to know what it's like to go through female puberty, he should then ask an actress who's on his show what it's like to have a period. Is that appropriate? Because that's the same argument you're making.
Well, it's like, it's not even that. It's like, why should I expect to be oppressed? Because someone
else doesn't understand me.
And why should I expect to be oppressed just because somebody heard some sort of clinical, like, explanation of this? You know what I mean? It's like, well, you have to add that personal touch. I shouldn't have to. No one should have to do that. We shouldn't have to add on a personal touch to explain that oppression is wrong. Like, no.
Here's an idea. Just don't do that shit.
Yeah. How about you just sit there? How about we expect people to be a little better than that? Like, I mean, how low of a view of humanity do you have to think that somebody specifically needs a personal touch in order to understand that transition is hard, or
right,
or any type of oppression is hard? Like, why do you need that? You don't.
No, it's just a weird double standard that isn't applied to anyone else.
It's Wikipedia.
It's puberty, people. Puberty sucks no matter which way you're going.
Yeah, that was my other FAQ. What are hormones like? It's like puberty, but later.
Puberty, nobody expects you to be going through it at the time, right?
It's like puberty, but you're older. Bam, done.
That works.
Alright, so that's our boss, Laverne Cox. You rock.
Woo, Laverne Cox.
Yay. Oh, wait.
Is it playing? I can't hear it.
It is.
Okay.
No, it has to be quiet in our microphones because we were getting feedback, unfortunately.
Oh. I hope it's playing.
I hope it is, too.
That was kids going, yay! Just in case you couldn't hear it at home. Because I couldn't hear it.
Well, are you ready to do our stupid sexist song now?
Oh, we're doing it now?
Yeah.
Okay. What are we doing?
We're doing Girls Don't Like Boys by Good Charlotte, which is like the nice guy anthem, right?
You said...
It's pretty terrible.
I asked you earlier tonight, or I asked Dory earlier tonight what our song was, and she was like, Girls Don't Like Boys. And I was like, girls like cars and money? I like immediately knew the next line to the song. I have this CD, actually. From when I was like a freshman in high school.
Nice.
That's how old this CD is. One of my best friends, like one of the only two or three people from high school I still talk to. The reason we started talking was because she was wearing a Good Charlotte shirt one day in class. That's like the first thing I said to her. I was like, hey, I like your shirt.
I like your face.
Hey, I like your face. She has a good face.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, we're doing this.
Are you ready, Caitlin?
I'm ready.
Girls don't like boys, girls like cars and money. I'm gonna sing along to this song. Is
Don't
it
you
going
always?
yet?
There it goes.
Okay. Money don't pay the bills.
Right? How does he know he's not funny?
Let's pause it there. He pays for everything because men still make more money than women do.
Suck on that.
Who was it? Like Conan O'Brien had this like bit where he said statistics show that such and such percent of men wouldn't mind if women picked up the check every now and then he went on to say more studies show that women wouldn't mind being paid the same amount as men. So show me a time period when women are paid the same as men for the same job, and then we'll talk about this so-called shallowness of women.
Yep.
Like when your very survival depends on this type of thing.
Yep.
Fuck off. I dated a guy with that car, and it was the worst thing ever. I cannot explain to you how terrible it was, because I had a car, so I was his chauffeur everywhere. It was bad. Like, there have been times when the boy and I, like, one of us at one point in our relationship hasn't had a car, but that was after we were, like, living together in a serious relationship.
Right.
This dude, for 80% of the time we were together, he did not have a car.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, we didn't live together or anything, so it wasn't like on my way to pick him up or to drive him to work. Like, I had to wake up at 4 in the morning to get him to work at 5 in the morning, and then I didn't have class till 10 a.m.
Damn.
I would sleep in the parking lot at school because of that asshole.
Oh, hell no.
No, it was terrible. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Get a car. Get a fucking car. It was so annoying. And he didn't live in the city. He lived, like, out in the country somewhere.
Oh, that's even worse.
It was terrible. I'm like, what are you doing with your life?
What are you gonna do with your life?
You're in your mid-20s and you live in Texas and you don't have a car. Like, no, get one.
No. I don't have one, but it's because I'm saving for a vagina instead.
Yeah, well,
you live in town.
You live in Dallas.
And I live in Dallas with plenty of public transportation. I can get all over the damn place by myself.
Exactly. I'll drive you occasionally places, but if I'm not there, you find someone else.
Right.
Or you get a public transportation thing going.
Yep. It's not that hard in here.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
I just had to rant about that.
Like, would you turn down money?
That line doesn't even. They mean paper or plastic money.
Yeah.
Because every time I listened to it, I thought paper or plastic, like at the grocery store.
She'll take any bags, man. You don't even know.
As long as you pay for it. Because women are shallow.
I get it.
Okay. All right. I've never heard that before. This observation is completely new to me.
Yep.
Okay.
I forget that we suck sometimes.
But you spitters fall out.
Spitters are quitters.
Is he calling Josh words there? Or like
yes.
Sex workers, basically? Okay. Let's not do that.
Well, you've heard the argument that it's just basically you're buying dinner and all that to have sex with anyway, so you're basically whores anyway, right?
Except for I just don't have to have sex. What if I don't want to have sex?
Right.
Dinner doesn't mean sex.
Nope. Yeah, but there's people who make that argument,
Yeah, and they're idiots.
Yep.
No, I've heard that argument before. I'm like, oh, well, I'm not having sex with you.
Right.
So pay for dinner all you want. I'm not having sex. And if that's how you view it, then I don't understand how you get any.
Right.
It's like, I'm going to pay for dinner and pay for all this stuff, and that means sex at the end of the night. No, it does not.
That's why quote-unquote nice guys are so sexually frustrated, because nobody wants to fuck them. Because
They're like-
being a decent human being doesn't get you sex.
Yeah.
It just means you're a decent human being.
I
You have
can't
the same
remember-
odds of getting sex that you had before.
If being nice got you pussy, Habitat for Humanity would be getting it all.
Yep.
And anyone who wants to just announce that they're nice, or
I never
announce-
trust anyone who tells me they're nice.
Or like in this song, he's like, the rich guy is not funny, and I'm like, and you are? I haven't heard you make funny.
Right.
You're not being funny right now. You're being a whiny asshole.
Right.
I don't want to hang out with you.
Not until you grow out of this nice guy phase.
Let's just like stop announcing we're nice and just be nice.
Right.
And not act like that's a huge deal. Like, remember that time I drove you home for that party and didn't try to like rape you?
Didn't rape you?
You know, why don't you want to date me? Well, thanks for not raping me.
Thanks for having the bare minimum of being a decent human being.
Thank you for that. Girls with the bodies like boys with Ferraris. So girls are reduced down to their body, and men are reduced down to their money.
Hooray, sexism hurts everyone.
Yay! And I think he's saying specifically those girls with the bodies.
Yep.
Because apparently there are some girls that don't have bodies.
No, we're just minds that float in non-existence.
Yeah, if you're not hot, then you're just a disembodied brain floating around that, people may or may not listen to. They'll just call you a bitch.
Yep.
Okay.
It explains a lot about my life.
Why people look at you like, why is that brain talking?
This is why everyone calls me sir. I'm not a girl.
No, you're not a girl with the bodies.
No, I'm not hot. You just
That likes boys with Ferraris.
You don't even like any boys.
Yeah,
Ferraris
see?
or no. See? So you're invisible.
I'm
We're
obviously,
all invisible.
If I don't like boys with Ferraris, I'm obviously a guy.
Yep.
Apparently.
I don't know. Is that every tab or something, or what?
I don't know. It's
Here.
not taking up much CPU.
Let's see if it's actually working.
That's not the right tab. I think it's working now.
Okay.
Are we back on now?
Yeah, it looks like we're
Okay.
back on.
I don't
Apparently
know.
the internet's gonna be shitty again.
Okay. I don't know if we actually cut out there or not. So,
Looks like we're back.
We're back. By the way, let us know if we have an echo tonight. I'm trying to make sure that we don't, but, shit happens.
And then we get drunk.
And then we get drunk,
Alright.
and then we get dropped. That's the
Yay.
thing on this show. We're nothing if not professional here at Shethinkers. It's time for You're Welcome, Hollywood.
Oh my god, we haven't done one of these in forever.
I know, they're one of my favorite segments.
Alright, so who are we talking about tonight?
Well, tonight's badass that Hollywood will never make a biopic about is Sylvia Rivera.
I think it's pronounced biopic.
It's either one, I guess.
Biopic.
I mean,
Sounds like-
it's the shortened version of biography picture.
It's like a picture of her biography.
Yeah.
Because pic in internet language just means picture.
But it used to mean, like, movie.
Yeah, but
That's where the
nobody
biopic came
nobody
from.
would say pic in a movie.
This is just another both argument.
It's biopic, damn it. It's not both.
Biopic sounds like something like bionic. Almost.
But that's how you say it. Because of the word bionic. They both have the same, whatever.
Let's just. So how about that Sylvia Rivera?
It's not. Both does not have an L in it. slam my fist on the table.
I'm sorry, I
She's
can't
gonna
help
come
it.
back as a cyborg zombie now.
Biopic.
Dirty nerdy.
Biopic's not the same thing as bionic.
That's how they're gonna do it in the movie. She's gonna be a cyborg zombie.
Sylvia Rivera's gonna be a cyborg zombie?
Yes.
You're welcome, Hollywood.
She's gonna come back from the grave as a cyborg zombie to fight for her queer rights.
I think a Hispanic trans woman vampire zombie robot thing would be a pretty awesome movie.
Vampires are not the same thing as zombies.
I don't know. I'm just listing off shit. It's got to be a shitty B movie because that's the only way this would get approved.
Okay.
So let's talk about who Sylvia Rivera is.
Wait.
For those who don't know.
She's not a bionic zombie?
No.
Okay. Caitlin, you're confusing me. So who is Sylvia Rivera?
Sylvia Rivera is one of the first people to start the Stonewall riots. She won't accept credit for being the first one to start it, but there's plenty of people who claim she's the first one who started the Stonewall riots. So
yeah, we had her as a boss speech a while ago, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, she always says that she was the second one to throw a Molotov. But everyone
else says she's the first one.
That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
I'm never gonna have the time in my life where it's appropriate to throw a Molotov.
You don't know that
It's
yet.
not gonna happen.
We're gonna live a long life. We could be in a riot someday.
I've caused a riot.
Aim high. It's on our bucket list.
Aim high, start riots.
Yep.
That's our motto.
It's already checked off on mine.
I got sent.
Well, you know what? We can't all just give blowjobs to whoever while in military school.
I got sent to detention for starting a riot in high school.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yep.
You're behind her, dirty nerdy.
I didn't start a riot, but I got in trouble for being a witch.
I was gonna say she's got just as good a story, so it evens out.
So
we did have.
She got in trouble for witchcraft. That's hilarious. You weren't even a little wicked witch either.
I wasn't even a witch.
That was one of our potential trolls this week, the Roman Catholic who got suspended for witchcraft.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
So yeah,
okay.
Sylvia Rivera started the Stonewall riots, or was one of the people to start the Stonewall riots. I guess we'll go with that. She was a huge advocate for helping homeless queer youth in New York City, which is awesome. She's like my role model, so I like her a lot. She helped with homelessness and other issues too in the city. And like I said, not only is she a trans woman, she's also Hispanic on top of that.
She's bi.
And she lived in a time where the gay community was extremely unaccepting of the trans community.
She was bi?
Oh yeah, and she's bi. So Sylvia Rivera's a badass. You should just worship the ground she used to walk on because she's dead, unfortunately.
Well, now maybe Hollywood will make a biopic.
Maybe. They'll do it like Milk style. They'll get a straight cis woman to play her.
Who will fuck it up horribly.
Yep.
Be like, maybe we should add more scenes of her putting on makeup.
Yeah.
We need more scenes like that.
We need to be convinced that her femininity is false.
I don't know why I'm talking with that voice. So sorry.
That's your Hollywood executive voice.
That's my Hollywood executive voice. Yes,
Yeah.
That's it. Let's get a straight white woman to play her, and then we'll add tons of video or footage of her putting on makeup and always wearing a dress. You cannot have her outside of a dress.
She can't wear jeans.
It has to be pink too.
Yeah, it's gotta be hot pink.
Women don't wear jeans.
Not trans women anyway. We never wear pants.
Because they have to convince everyone that they're women or
Yep.
something. I don't know.
I spend every waking moment trying to convince people I'm female. Oh wait, no.
Oh wait.
That's
not what you do.
No, man, I've gotten to the fuck it stage of my life where I'm like, whatever, deal with it. I don't wear makeup half the time. I just dress like a tomboy.
I pretty much
I
never
just
wear
don't give a
anything
fuck.
but jeans.
I'll go from that, and then I'll have femme days where I'm like, I'm gonna wear a dress and look pretty.
The only reason that I wear dresses and skirts a lot now is because none of my pants fit me. So.
And I like it because my dresses fit me better than jeans and t-shirts do.
Exactly.
But jeans and t-shirts are easier, so that's the trade-off.
Yeah, I guess so.
This is probably
I look
the
better
feminist
in
right now
dresses,
that Dirty
but-
Nerdy has ever seen me. Like my pajamas. Like they're hard, like the hearts and everything. Yeah.
I thought you said this is the
The
feminist.
the femiest.
The feminist?
Emiest?
I don't know.
The most feminine?
The most yeah.
So let's keep destroying Sylvia Rivera so that Hollywood can make a movie about her.
So, John to be played by a straight white guy.
No, straight white woman.
Straight white woman. Because I've noticed that actors tend to do much better jobs than actresses because actors are like, oh, fuck, man, I gotta be a woman. And actresses' ideas of being a trans woman are, oh, I should pretend to be a man. That's not offensive to anybody.
Ugh.
She'll probably end up wearing a prosthetic penis that she'll bitch about too.
Right.
For some reason. Why would you do that? Like, I don't understand.
Oh, what show? There was some TV show a year or two ago where the actress had to wear a prosthetic penis because, of course, it was a cis woman playing a trans woman.
What?
She's like a trans woman assassin. It's actually a less problematic representation than a lot of things, but the actress got in deep shit because she burst into tears from having to wear a prosthetic penis, and every trans woman in the world was like, yeah, go fuck yourself.
Wait.
That must be hard for you.
Why does she have to wear a prosthetic penis?
Because they have to show you that she has a dick, because that's what they do in trans movies.
I don't understand.
You have there has to be the dick shot in every trans movie.
And her whole thing was like, oh, I just feel so ugly and unattractive to men and blah.
And every trans woman in the world.
I think it was
lifted up middle fingers at her.
It was like Chloe Savini, I think was her name.
Yeah, that was her name. So that's fun. So okay, we've got our cast.
It wasn't Hollywood. It was
it'll have to be Julia Roberts too. Julia Roberts as Sylvia Rivera.
Julia Roberts as Sylvia Rivera.
Well, I have to change her last name. It's too Hispanic. It's got to be like Rogers or something.
As Julia Roberts as Sylvia Rogers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sylvia's still really Hispanic even too.
Is it?
So.
I've never seen it as. Is it an Hispanic?
It would be too ethnic for the.
It's too ethnic. So
Slightly.
it's Susie Rogers.
Yes. And she wouldn't they wouldn't have
She wouldn't start a riot, obviously.
Yeah, they wouldn't have her starting a riot. She'd do inspirational things. Yeah, they'd show her holding signs at a protest or something.
Not throwing a brick at a cop.
That part will be edited out.
Right. That's just too hardcore for Hollywood.
And then, because trans rights are just a little too far, they would just make her gay.
Yeah, she'll just be a lesbian.
She'll just be a lesbian fighting for gay rights.
Susie Rogers, the lesbian.
And then, the only way that anyone will know that this is a Sylvia Rivera biopic is because they'll show her at Stonewall, but, not doing anything.
No.
She'll be cowering in a corner or something and then talk about how traumatic it was.
Or even worse, she'll be trying to convince them not to attack the street cops.
Yeah. So she'll be like, we should be talking to them. We should be talking to them and being
answering
nice.
all of their questions and being their little gay pets and...
Yes, that will be the biopic.
Sounds like it'll suck ass.
It will.
But that's what Hollywood does.
Yep.
You can't have anything too interesting, because then, it'll be too controversial.
Yeah, so you're welcome, Hollywood. I want a credit on that, on that transcript, or whatever it's called, that people turn in to Hollywood.
I want a writer's credit.
I want a writer's credit. Okay, so next we're talking about our word of the day.
It's the word of the day.
Is it over now?
What's the word of the day, Dirty Nerdy?
Intersectionality.
Ooh.
Do I have to tell you the definition too?
No, we can say the definition. So intersectionality is kind of the defining factor of third wave feminism. First wave feminism is kind of all about suffrage movement, and then the second wave is mostly about white women.
Yeah.
White straight women.
What do middle-class women want?
And then third wave feminism is like, it's not just about men and women, it's about a whole slew of other shit that we need to focus on too. Because intersectionality, which is basically just everybody has a whole bunch of different labels. And like, all of us could come up with 20 labels that apply to us, and we could still add more to that list.
And those labels intersect in different ways and are subject to different systems of oppression and discrimination.
This is why.
So I'm a white woman, but I'm cis, so I don't have to deal with trans issues. But I'm also bisexual, so I have to deal with those issues. And I'm a woman, but at least I'm white.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like any statistic you hear about like women in general versus like men, like of discrimination, it's usually 10 times worse for a woman of color.
Right.
You know, or a trans woman or a gay woman, you know.
It's one of those things like if this was like a card game, like Magic or something, intersectionality is like multipliers applied to your privilege and oppression. You get little stacks that you can multiply on top of each other, where you might have more privilege than oppression.
Like the damage stacks.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it means.
So you've got your little privilege pile where you get extra health, and then you've got your oppression pile where you get shit on.
You might hear, who was it? John Scalzi wrote an article called it was like easiest setting or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like white male is the easiest setting that you can get in life.
In the game of society.
Yeah, it's like imagine you're playing a video game. And you can go in and you can choose to be white male, and that's like easy. So you might face difficulties and things like that. It might be hard to win the game, but
it's still not the hardest it could be.
It's still not the hardest it could have been. Like you could go in and put blackmail. And then it's a little bit more hard. It's a little harder. You might be stopped by the cops a lot more, searched a lot more, maybe get passed up by that scholarship, you know, any number of things. And then you could be a black woman, which is even worse. Or you could be, you know, trans of some sort, or gay, or.
I like there's a GIF for someone put together, and it looks like a video game, but it says the gender game, and instead of easy, medium, and hard, it has male, female, other in the hard setting.
That's good. Yeah, it's like that.
So that's what intersectionality is. That's why it's irritating when there's somebody who's like, well, I'm insert privilege class here, and I still have all of this oppression I have to deal with. And it's like, yeah, dude, that's intersectionality. You might have white privilege, but you're lower class, so you've got that disadvantage that you have to fight against.
Like, I remember one time I was talking to this Christian on our friend's Facebook wall about the oppression of LGBT community, and I was talking about how LGBT youth are, like, grossly overrepresented in homelessness in almost every state.
It's like
at least major city.
It's like, I want to say it's 4 times as likely for
a
queer kid to be homeless as a straight kid. And then if it's a trans kid on top of that, it's even higher. And if it's a trans
cut off. Are we back on? Hey, we're back on!
Yeah, apparently we are. I hate when this happens on the internet.
I can never tell when we're offline or off the air or not. Okay, so basically, I had this Christian woman telling me that Christian kids can get kicked out of their homes too, and I challenged her to come up with a single Christian kid who was kicked out of their home for being Christian.
In America.
Because she was insisting that Christians were just as oppressed as gay people are. And you can't, I honestly don't see how you can be in the majority and be oppressed.
Christians love thinking that they're oppressed, even though they're in the majority.
Except for cases like with rich people aren't in the majority population-wise, but they have more money, so they have
the majority of power.
Yeah, they have the majority of power. I don't see.
And that's really what the whole minority and majority thing means.
Yeah.
Which group has the majority of power, not which group has the majority of numbers, because that doesn't matter.
Yeah, like the majority of elected officials are Christian. The majority of everybody working in the government is Christian.
Yep.
So.
A good way of explaining intersectionality is actually done through this exercise that I've seen done through a couple workshops I've done through the school with the counseling center. They do one is an ally training just for LGBT, another one is more just a diversity kind of thing where they talk about this. And it's a privilege walk.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah. Oh, I've done this before.
Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with this thing.
Privileged people love this exercise.
Really?
I love it because it's great for teaching people and showing them how it works. But I hate it when I'm doing the damn thing.
Yeah, when you have to be the one in it. Yeah, I get that.
Because for those who don't know what it is, the way it works is you all start in the middle of the room holding hands, and then whoever's
because we're gay, we hold hands. We'll just do that.
Well, whoever's facilitating it will then say will say some kind of statement, and then they'll either give you.
They'll usually go through like the categories. So it's like if you're white, take a step forward. If you're not, take a step back. And they'll go through the different, so you've got racism, ageism, sizeism, all of those things, and then.
Well, they may work it differently. They may be like really overt like that. They may do more subtle stuff.
Yeah. Usually, if you're focusing on one thing in particular, then it's more detailed. So if you're focusing on like LGBT ally training that I've done, it's just straight privilege is all that it's teaching about.
Well, even with the diversity training where they had all of them, they were doing very specific things rather than just saying, hey, if you're white, take a step forward. But they weren't necessarily saying, they might just say just take a step forward, or if it didn't apply to you, they might say They would say specifically just take a step forward or just take a step back for some, or they might say if it applies to you take a step forward, or if it doesn't take a step back. It varies up however they want to do it.
The one that I was involved in, they had I statements that they said like I have experienced blank.
Yeah.
And depending on what it was, they would say, like, if that applies to you, take it. It depended on which one it was. Like,
right. The whole point of the exercise is that by the end of it, everybody's staggered all over the room. And that's supposed to illustrate that, that's the starting point that everybody has.
Yeah.
So some people have a better starting point than others do.
Exactly.
And so by the end of it, people who have more privilege end up all the way at the front of the room. People with less privilege who are really oppressed end up in the back of the room. And, the whole idea is, try to hold on hands as much as you can, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Rarely ends up happening. For me, it very quickly, within about 2, maybe 3 statements, I've lost grip of both people that I was holding hands with. And by the end of it, I'm in the back wall, and I can't even go, there's 8 more statements, and I could have kept going to the back of the wall.
I'm just going to chill here now.
But, I mean, the thing is there are statements that I could take steps forward for, and I do. Like, I own a computer, or yes, I'm going to school. But, but I go to school because, hey, I went through the military, and the military is paying for it.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely lower class. I know that. I'm aware of that, and that's where I bought my computer through when I had money through the military. So it's trying to show that everybody has privilege, everybody has some oppression.
And that's what intersectionality is.
That's what intersectionality is.
It's complicated, dude. Deal with it.
Yeah. So it's good in that sense, but it's really sucky because for me, with being queer, gay, trans, mixed race, because I'm part Native American.
Yeah. All that fun shit.
Lower class, all that shit. Like really, so many oppressed identities. It's like I'm all the way in the fucking back of the room, and I get to see everybody else at the front of the room. And one of these I actually did with a bunch of people who were in a LGBT support group with me, and one of them looked back at me like looking around. I was like, holy shit! It's like, yeah, hi. So, it's depressing.
So that's our secret word of the week. So anytime you hear us use intersectionality during the next segment, I don't know, take a drink.
By the way, it's also a drinking game.
Yes. I like this segment. We should do this every week. All right, we'll be right back after these commercials.
Wish I was a powerpuff girl, living in a powerpuff world. Wear a ribbon in my curls, wear a dress and save the world. Wish I was a powerpuff girl. I wish I was a powerpuff girl. I'd fly to the sky, shoot sparkling stars out of my eyes. I wish I was a powerpuff girl. I wish I was a powerpuff girl, you and I wish I was a powerpuff girl, 'cause then I'd save the world, and afterwards cuddle up with a puppy or two. But most importantly, spread the word of peace and love throughout the land.
Audible.com is offering a free 30-day trial for you, the listeners of Shethinkers. To check out their service and download a free audiobook of your choice, go to audibletrial.com/Shethinkers. This week, we personally recommend Bossy Pants by Tina Fey, the hilarious memoir of one of our favorite comedians. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/Shethinkers. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Shethinkers for any free audiobook of your choice.
The ACLU is our nation's guardian of liberty, working daily in courts, legislatures, and communities to defend and preserve the individual rights and liberties that the Constitution and laws of the United States guarantee everyone in this country. These rights include the First Amendment rights, equal protection under the law, right to due process, and right to privacy. The ACLU also works to extend rights to segments of our population that have traditionally been denied their rights, including people of color, women, lesbians, gay men, bisexuals, and transgender people, prisoners, and people with disabilities. To volunteer or donate, go to aclu.org.
And we're back. Dirty nerdy.
What?
Nothing.
You said we had 10 seconds left.
Yep, it's true.
To drink.
No, we're doing taxes.
Oh yeah, we're not saying what it is we're doing. Doing taxes is our new euphemism
For all adult things.
for all adult and or possibly illegal things that we might do. So
Anything that's, mature content, we're just doing taxes, man.
we're doing our taxes.
What's more mature than doing your taxes?
I thought we had a different one for it too as well.
Doing my taxes always makes me hungry. Like, I just want to munch out after that. Just like, we gotta order some pizza after doing taxes.
I thought you said rug munch.
No, that's a different type of doing taxes.
There's so many kinds of doing taxes out there.
You know what? I've never found
It all depends on what form you put in.
I've never found a tax form doing my taxes that hasn't made me hungry. Every form of doing my taxes makes me hungry.
I know, sex munchies are a totally real thing.
Yep. Also, sex comas.
Yes.
If I can't go to sleep, the boy is like, what can I do to help you? I'm like, give me an orgasm and I'll fall asleep. Like, immediately.
Yep. I just masturbate if I can't fall asleep. I'm like, alright, I'm gonna go in the shower for 30 minutes, I'll be back.
Masturbating doesn't work for me unless I can just, like, lay in bed afterwards, and I never can.
That's why you do the shower, because then it's all hot, and then you're warm when you go to bed.
No, I have to be, like, in bed. Just, like,
so you can just pass out right after.
Right immediately. There's not too much cuddling, unless you wake me up, and then I cuddle.
I love how every conversation of ours ends up in masturbation.
We just end up talking about sex.
We talked about intersectionality for a while without masturbation coming up. Woo! Woo! Take a drink. I said the special word. Everyone take a drink, even us. Radio silence.
Yep. I drank before you.
Yeah, I know.
That way we don't have dead air.
I was drinking while Dory and Caitlin were drinking. Wait, I was talking while Dory and Caitlin were drinking so that I could drink after, so we wouldn't have dead air, and then I had to explain that whole thing. So
Good thing we saved that time.
Yeah, right. I shouldn't tell our listeners all of our radio secrets, or they'll go out and make their own shows.
Right.
Won't they? That's what we did.
Yep. Should we?
People are talking about the things I want to talk about. Damn it, I'm gonna make my own show with blackjack
and hookers. In fact, forget the blackjack.
Damn it, you got Facebook telling me to give you tax stuff because of this show.
You're getting tax ads now?
Yes, because of this show.
Wait.
Or it could be because it's January.
It could just be because it's January.
I'm gonna blame this show.
Like, wait a minute. How would Facebook even know at this point? Like, how would it know?
Facebook knows everything. Facebook and Google together will
because
destroy
I've been posting
the world.
shit for the show all night on here.
You posted shit about taxes on there?
Apparently.
So wait, what was our topic supposed to be? Not taxes.
No. It's workplace harassment and discrimination.
Oh, okay.
Which is taxes.
That's a mature situation, I guess.
What were you doing? Taxes.
So I guess we should start by differentiating what harassment and discrimination are. Because they're not really the same thing, but they get interchanged a lot.
Well, they can overlap.
They can.
If you're being discriminated against,
you're probably being harassed too.
Yeah, exactly. It's mostly, I guess I'll just go from Wikipedia here. It's behavior intended to disturb or upset, and it is characteristically repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
Something that is ongoing. And it's not necessarily ongoing against one person. It can be ongoing against several people. Like,
it can just be an unsafe environment.
It can be an unsafe environment. It can be a hostile environment. If you feel like you have to put your guard up when you go to work.
Yeah.
That can be indicative of a harassing environment.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's not necessarily behavior that's only targeted towards one person. It can be something that, like, maybe you have a manager that always hugs the girl employees.
The female
Yes.
employees.
Maybe you have that, and they may not do it to you every time, but they do it to every female.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that most of you don't really like that, but no one says anything because you don't want to rock. You don't want to rock the boat. Like recently, I had a manager who was basically told never to come back ever again. And it turns out he was...
This is awesome.
They said inappropriate touching, but it wasn't sexual. It was like grabbing arms and stuff.
Yeah.
And only one person that he did it to actually filed a formal complaint, but they asked other people, and they were like, yeah, he did that to me too.
Yep.
So you don't have to do it to one person type of thing. You could be harassing people at work without doing it to one person.
No, you could just generally be a harassing person.
Yeah, you're just being an asshole.
Basically. And then discrimination is usually it's more specific.
Yes.
So discrimination is when you're singled out because of some category that you fall into, and then either you're not getting advancements in work, or certain things are done against you that don't happen to other employees.
Yeah. Maybe you get written up for things that other employees also do, and the manager knows that they do them, but only you get in trouble for it.
Mm-hmm. Double standards, basically.
Yeah.
As discrimination.
So, and these laws are different, basically, in every state. There are some federal laws that workplaces have to follow, but pretty much it's different in almost every state.
Yeah. We've got a list of kind of the most common and important laws that are federal laws. So these are going to be like universal. We all have these laws in the states.
Yes.
So there's the Civil Rights Act, which is like the bulk of illegal to discriminate. So that one, it's illegal to discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, or sex. It doesn't include sexual orientation or gender identity or a slew of other things.
Yeah.
But it's a good start,
And then apparently Title VII was amended later on to include the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, and it's pretty much just what it sounds like. It's illegal to discriminate against a woman because of pregnancy, childbirth, or medical condition related to pregnancy or childbirth. But as we've discussed on the show in the past, these laws don't cover everything, and so women are still discriminated against because of this.
No, and the worst thing about discrimination is most people aren't dumb enough to flat out tell you, I'm firing you because you're an X.
Yeah.
What they'll do instead is they'll leave a paper trail behind and fire you for something else.
Yeah.
But their motivation is because you're an X, but they'll never say that.
So what you have to do in order to prove discrimination or harassment, discrimination, we'll just talk about that.
Yeah.
In order to prove that is you have to also have a paper trail.
Yeah.
Keep track of these things. If you suspect that you're being discriminated against, keep a record of some sort of that discrimination. If it's things like pay raises or being promoted at work, if you notice that other people who are less qualified are promoted above you and they all happen to not fit the category that you most obviously fit in, keep track of that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, people don't notice it, but if that type of discrimination is happening, it can also include some sorts of harassing behavior, like maybe your boss makes racist jokes every once in a while.
Yeah.
Maybe you should write that down.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that the other people who are present for something like that also remember it happening and know the date and everything. So if you make any type of complaint, make sure you have those witnesses there.
Yeah. And we'll go more into that when that'll be later on in the segment where we talk about what you can do if you think you're being discriminated or harassed at your work.
Sorry, I jumped the gun.
Yeah.
I wasn't here.
We still gotta go through the Fed laws.
I wasn't here for the planning. I don't know what we're doing. I'm not prepared.
You're never prepared.
Nope.
Fuck the Boy Scouts.
I was too busy doing my taxes.
So there's the Equal Pay Act of 1963. Again, it's on paper, but not a guarantee. But it's supposed to make it illegal to pay different wages to men and women for the same job in the same workplace, but they can always just give someone a different job title if they really want to. So it's easy to get around, unfortunately.
And part of the reason why women don't make on average, don't make as much money as men is because women or men are typically encouraged to go into different job fields.
And into different workloads. Women are usually encouraged to go into part-time. Men are usually encouraged to go into full-time.
Exactly. So it's really shitty that it's like, if I'm working the exact same job for the exact same hours, I should be making as much as a man.
It just doesn't happen that often.
It doesn't happen that often because women are not encouraged to work those hours. They're encouraged to stay home more. They're also not encouraged to go into jobs that work those same amount of hours.
Nope.
And that goes into other type of stigmas that women face. So even though there's a lot, it still doesn't cover everything.
Yeah, which is pretty much going to be true of all of these.
It doesn't really cover raises either.
No,
it doesn't.
That's pretty much going to be true for all of these, is that it's good on paper, but there are pitfalls with each of them.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it's the nature of laws, unfortunately.
Why can't people just not be jerks? Can that
right?
just be this is the law, don't be an asshole. Okay.
Done.
Go forth and be nice to each other.
So we've also got the Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967. And that's basically, it makes ageism illegal, but only for older people. So 40 and older is what it describes as ageism. Unfortunately, it doesn't go in the opposite direction, because ageism happens for young people too, depending on the environment that you're working in. If you're different from the majority of your coworkers, chances are pretty good, it'll get pointed out to you more than once.
All right.
There's the Americans with Disabilities Act in 1990.
Oh God, and I've studied some of the court cases here, and they're going more and more in favor of the employer.
Yeah, unfortunately.
With disabilities, if they want, basically, you can't. What's the word? It's called accommodations. It's the most common complaint. It's that they're not accommodating your disability. And the problem is, though, it can't put undue hardship on the employer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like there was one case where somebody needed time off for something, and they needed 2 days off, and they couldn't get it off, and they filed a Americans with Disabilities Act, and this goes the same for the non-discrimination based on religion. They will use the same thing. You can't put an undue hardship. Well, they classify it that's taken to be very broad.
Yeah. Anything
company,
can be undue hardship.
A company can successfully argue that giving someone 2 days off, is an undue hardship. And it's pretty ridiculous.
And the courts usually side with the employer.
Yeah, they side with the employer more often than not.
Well, I mean, even shit, it gets really insane. I mean, I had a workplace injury. I mean, my fall that got me my concussion
I remember that.
happened at work. And I went back with a doctor's note for them saying, hey, don't lift more than 20 pounds, don't bend down at the waist, don't stand for more than an hour. And then they had me go, okay, go do this, go work in the babies aisle, down stacking everything, go take stuff off of pallets, go down, take it off the pallet and go put it in the aisle, walking around, all this.
Things that you're not supposed to be doing.
Exactly. Several of the things on my list that I'm not supposed to be doing. And they look at me and like, oh, you don't look disabled. It's a brain injury. You can't see it.
Yeah, I had Dory and Chris actually had to drive me to the hospital one night.
Yep, that was an adventure.
I have a back injury that the doctor still can't figure out what's wrong. Probably nerve damage.
But hey, you've got insurance now by the end of the month.
By February 1st, I will have insurance.
Thanks, Obama.
So, yeah. Thanks, Obama. So, I'm super excited about that. I can finally get my MRI, maybe. We'll see how much the copay is on that.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. But basically, you know, my bosses have known since like October or November that I'm not supposed to be lifting like heavy objects very often. I can do it every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like tonight, I was on the floor mostly, and so I had to lift a few high chairs and stuff. Like every once in a while, it's okay, but they usually have me like, you know, as a greeter or lead or something. Somebody who's not lifting heavy objects and helping servers.
Right. That's an accommodation that's easy for a company to make.
It's very easy to make, and for the most part,
they're not going to go out of business just because you can't lift heavy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially as a host. You don't even lift trays as a host. You're not supposed to.
Well,
unless
hosts,
it's busy. But
yeah, hosts occasionally are expected to run food, but not if you have an injury.
Yeah.
And the managers know.
You can still be a host when you're not lifting things.
Exactly. So we had this manager who is now gone. Yay!
Jackass.
He was a huge jackass.
He's the reason I had to take you to the hospital.
He is. I should send him my hospital bill.
Right?
But I came in and I was working a double that day. I was working from like 12 to 8 or 9, I guess. It was sort of a double. I picked up so much shifts, but I was supposed to work at 3:30 anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'll just work straight through, no big deal. Well, he's had me spend the first 2.5 hours I was there helping servers. And I was trying to only do things like get drinks for them and stuff like that. But even being on my feet all day hurts my back. Every night when I get off work, my back hurts. It's like even following the doctor's restrictions, it still hurts. So, like, I was trying to stick with small things, helping servers, but eventually you can't just tell a table, no, I won't get your salad out.
Right.
Like, be like, okay, you need your salad? All right, I'll let your server know, and then do everything else around them. It's,
right.
You know, eventually you're going to, at some point, have to lift heavy trays if you're helping out a server. That's just part of the job. And I kept telling him I'm not supposed to be lifting things, and I keep having to lift these trays and stuff. I need to just go back to hosting. And he's like, well, just don't lift the trays. I'm like, until I guess no? What am I supposed to do?
Right.
So by the time I got off work, you know, I was in so much pain that I ended up having to go to the hospital. Like, I couldn't lie down or sit up or stand or lean to either side without some part of my back, chest, or neck hurting. It was terrible.
Yeah. It was a little scary.
Yeah, it was scary and bad, and that was a mistake that manager made. And now they have another note. This is probably the third note that I've gotten from a doctor telling them I'm not supposed to lift things. And I have a copy of it in my car, just in case they ever question it. But, yeah.
Well, it goes back to that whole visible disability and invisible disability thing.
Yeah.
People tend to have a very limited view of what a disability is, or what a person with disability might be. They generally think if you're not in a wheelchair 24/7, then you're not disabled. Is basically what most people's thought process is.
People see me all the time at work. They're like, "Oh, is your back better?" I'm like, "No." How is it supposed to get better? I'm here 6 days a week.
Right. My doctors don't know what it is, and I'm here 6 days a week.
They don't know what it is.
Why would it get better?
Yeah, I'm just constantly on pain medicine. What? I don't understand how it's supposed to get better. So yeah.
And then, like you said, the laws are wildly different from state to state.
They are.
As far as what you have protections for, what you don't. For example, there's no protections on pretty much anything related to gender or sexuality in Texas. So
there's pretty much no protection of anything in Texas.
Not really. I will say
we're a right to fire state.
I will say protections even fall under city, because the city of Dallas has an ordinance that makes it illegal to fire people who are gay or trans.
Workplace protections can be enacted at pretty much any level.
Pretty much.
The federal level, state level, city ordinance. Counties usually are an extension of the state, so they usually don't pass. Well, at least in Texas, it's an extension of the state, so they don't pass their own ordinances for counties. But cities will.
Yeah.
I don't know how counties work in other states.
And even what's crazy is, so it's pretty much every jurisdiction can have its own laws on discrimination and harassment, and then even within the company that you're working for can have their own policies as well.
Exactly. So even if you think that you may not, that whatever discrimination or harassment you feel like you're being subjected to, even if you think it may not be covered, I would go ahead and contact like the EEOC or a lawyer or your HR department, because you could be covered under some sort of city ordinance or company policy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different organizations you can look to. If you're not financially able to hire a lawyer, there are some organizations that could potentially, work pro bono for you. Like there's Lambda Legal, which is for LGBT legal cases. I believe LULAC takes some of those on from time to time for Hispanic Americans and for immigration cases. Depending on what specifically you're dealing with, you can probably find an organization that could potentially help you legally if it's an important case. So you should do research before you just throw your hands up in the air, which is the tendency to have when you're dealing with being harassed and discriminated against.
And sometimes that's just like...
You just don't want to deal with it. You're like, this is already a headache. I don't want to make it last longer.
Yeah, it takes a lot. I mean, I don't want to say, oh, well, just get a lawyer, just do this. It takes a lot out of you. It's a lot of work to fight something like this.
Even if you don't have the financial expense, it's still incredibly time-consuming and invasive. Like, your whole life is exposed when you're in the middle of a trial.
It's emotionally consuming and time-consuming and financially consuming. So, I understand completely if you go through something like this and you just do not have one of those things, like you just do not have the ability to actually fight it.
Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves with that whole, there's too many harassment cases tying up the court system. People are getting rich off of claiming they're being harassed or whatever. I don't know what world you're living in if you think that's the case.
Like, how are you getting rich? Most of those bills go to pay lawyers and shit.
Yeah, I guess that's what people don't understand is the amount of money you're going to have to spend fighting that shit in court. You're lucky to end up even by the end of it, because most of them settle out of court anyway.
Yeah.
And so that they don't have anything legal on file.
And most of that money actually doesn't go to you anyway. That it's like the hot coffee case that we saw like years ago for like the hot coffee McDonald's
that went
case.
To medical bills.
It did.
No, not even that. Most of that money that got put in there
and legal fees
No. Most of that was punitive.
Yeah.
The vast majority of that was punitive to McDonald's. It wasn't even given to her.
Yeah. That's what people don't understand. They're like, oh, this woman got $3 million for spilling coffee on her lap, and it's like, no, dude, most of that doesn't even go to her. It's just to punish McDonald's for having their coffee at way too hot temperatures.
Anyone who uses this case as an excuse to say that, like, we need tort reform and people sue too much, like, fuck you, you haven't read about this case.
No, she has...
It is such bullshit.
Oh, man, if you've seen the pictures...
Oh, it's terrible.
She has severe burns all throughout her inner legs.
And it's not just, oh, coffee's hot, yuck, yuck, you should know. Like, no, McDonald's was knowingly serving hot drinks hotter than what is recommended.
Yeah.
Like, they were serving it at, like, 180 degrees.
No, it was 190.
190?
It was anywhere from 180 to 200 degrees.
Yeah, which means that you suffer a second-degree burn within, like, 5 seconds.
Yeah, as soon as it hits your skin, you get second-degree burns.
They were doing it 10 degrees above the industrial standard.
Yeah, they were doing it on purpose. They knew it.
So that the coffee would stay hot.
Yeah. This was not the first time they'd had a problem like this, and before they'd been able to settle out of court, but this time she's like, no, I have to have fucking skin grafts.
Yeah, I don't want this to happen to anyone else. And she's on record saying that, where the only reason she went all the way through with it is because she didn't want it to happen to someone else.
And you know what? McDonald's changed their standards after this.
They did.
Finally.
So the system worked in the hot coffee case.
For once.
her medical bills and legal bills got covered, and McDonald's had to pay out. McDonald's had to pay out a fraction of what they make a year. I just want to point out.
They paid out for what they made. Their what was estimated for a day's loss of coffee.
They lost a day's worth of coffee.
Yeah, that's how much they lost.
Because, and look at it this way. They ruined her day, she ruins their day, right?
I also want to point out that anytime you see, especially in Texas, any state that boasts about their tort reform, basically, but definitely in Texas, anytime you see a report, in the newspaper, of what sounds to you like a ridiculously high sum of money being awarded, most likely they will not get that sum of money. Almost every time it will be appealed, and that amount will be reduced because of tort reform.
Yep.
Or what a lot of people do, especially hospitals, they'll do this for medical malpractice. They'll do a high-low agreement. Well, they'll say the lowest amount, no matter what happens in the courts, we will pay you at least this amount. Most of the time, it's somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000. No matter what happens in the courts, we'll pay you at least this amount. And then they'll also have no matter what happens in the courts, we'll pay at the highest this amount. So you might be awarded $110,000, but you made a high-low agreement for $10,000 to $50,000.
Yeah.
So if you get awarded higher than $50,000, all you get is $50,000. The public does not know about this. These are usually kept not necessarily secret, but they're not allowed in the transcripts at court because it can affect the jury's decision.
Yeah.
They'll be like, well, the company already signed this thing, so that means they're guilty, right?
Well, and that's what's ridiculous about this whole tort reform thing is the whole point
it's so terrible.
The whole point of having a jury of your peers is it's supposed to represent what the average American, if they actually sat in the court case and heard all of the evidence, what the average American would think was a fair price to get for what happens to you.
No, you don't get that anymore.
That's the thing. That's the whole point of having a jury trial is, 12 random Americans decide what seems like a reasonable amount of money for you. So it's not like things are outrageous because I don't know what the argument is supposed to be, that judges are getting money or something because they don't decide what the amounts are.
I can say this, the degree I was getting was in the legal field, and almost every single one of my professors at some point worked in personal injury, and every single one of them said that tort reform is bullshit. And not because they work in personal injury so they get their money off of it. It's because they see so many people come in that have legitimate claims that legitimately should be paid out for this. Terrible things that happen.
Yeah.
That are obviously because of this company's fault. But because of tort reform, no lawyer will take it because you can't make any money off of it.
Right.
Because the courts will throw it out. Whatever amount of money you might get out of it, the courts will basically throw it out and reduce it, and then you might not get paid. And
you might lose money with the maximum amount of money the court says you can get.
Which is sad because it's like this person needs their medical bills and everything else paid for, and then the lawyer's like, well, we also have to pay all these court fees and everything, and court fees and lawyer fees on top of medical bills, and that all ends up being over the amount that either the company is able to pay or that the courts will allow you to get. So tort reform pretty much just ends up hurting the little guy. It doesn't actually save money in the court systems or free up time or anything. It doesn't do that.
And I don't understand how it's supposed to save time because court still takes just as long regardless of what the outcome is.
Exactly.
So all that it's doing is helping big business. That's all that it does.
Well, of course. Who do you think for tort reform?
And it takes away, in our government,
insurance companies, they're for tort reform.
in our government system, one of the only ways that you have to attack corporations is the civic lawsuit.
Exactly.
So they're basically just taking all of the teeth out of a civic lawsuit.
That's what they did. In Texas,
if a company knows that the most they can lose in a court case is $250,000, which some people might think, oh, that's plenty of money.
No, it's not.
But it's not when you're dealing with legal fees and medical fees and everything else. So
the Ford Pinto cases, oh my god, they lost so much money. Like, their punitive damages were so fucking high.
Yeah.
You will never see another court case like that again, where it actually affects the corporation. Because
that's the whole point of civic courts.
Yeah, but now you'll never see that again.
No.
Like, Ford kept making the Pintos and didn't do a recall because they had this whole calculation based on how much they might lose in court.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't think they would lose that much, and then they did.
And all companies do that. So if a company knows the most they can lose on a court case is $250,000 or $2 million or whatever it is, if they already know what the cap is, then they can just say, well, it's worth that loss if it comes to it.
Exactly.
Because they don't even, it's a gamble, basically.
To corporations, human life is worth a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Human life and health is worth a certain amount of money, and they will gamble that.
All it is if you look at the bottom line,
a chance.
It's just about the bottom line. Are we making more money? Then it's an effective strategy. You know.
Basically, tort reform is the start of a cyberpunk world.
It is.
It totally is. What is that?
Tort reform on top of the whole corporations as persons thing.
Oh, God.
Is cyberpunk future.
Okay. So more on workplace discrimination.
Along with
it's all interconnected though, because
it really is.
The teeth are taking out a lot of these laws that are on the books as well.
Is this our cyberpunk intersectionality?
Yes. Take a drink. Intersectionality.
I'm out of drink.
Oh no. Here.
I'll take yours. Oh no, dead air.
With our cyberpunk or our cyborg zombie Silveria Rivera.
Yes.
You can't even say her name anymore.
Man, the cyborg.
You're like Silver Rivera. Oh my God, she's a superhero.
I was gonna say, think of Sylvia Rivera in the cyberpunk future as like a RoboCop. How awesome is that? But anyway, back to the main topic.
Okay.
I mean, tort reform ties in with this because the teeth have been taken out of. Because civil courts is still where all of this happens. So the same thing applies to harassment and discrimination lawsuits. All of that happens in civil courts, which means there's still caps on this stuff too.
Well, a lot of it also happens in like arbitration and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, some companies actually require you to sign an agreement that you'll go through arbitration first before you'll go to court.
That's part of their HR agreement, and what they're wanting to do is arbitration. A lot of the times, it's not. I wouldn't consider it like not as good as court, because sometimes it's better than that.
But if the arbitrator is basically in the pocket of the company,
yeah,
and sometimes they're an actual employee of the company.
It depends. The arbitrator, at least in Texas, is supposed to be somebody who's not part of the company or with with either plaintiff or defendant. But a lot of companies, it's not necessarily arbitration that you go to; it's their in-company people.
It's their HR department.
Yeah,
basically.
You have to go through their HR first before you're allowed to sue them. And the thing is, they get rewarded for that. Like, courts see it as a good thing if you're able, and this is across almost all civil suits. They see it as a good thing if you try to do this outside of court before going to court, and that's because it saves time and it saves money. It's cheaper to go through arbitration than it is to go through court.
It's cheaper for the company too, which is why they require
a
lot of them require you to do it first.
I don't want to try to make companies sound good here. I'm a communist, so it's still it's still not good for the company, or I mean, it is. I don't know. Fuck it.
It's bad for you, basically. It's good for everyone else except you, the employee.
And a lot of what happens is, if you look at how people's reactions to their court date versus arbitration or any other type of out-of-court settlement type thing that they might do, people aren't as happy when they go to court as they are for like arbitration or any other type of out-of-court settlement. And part of it is that the judgment when you go to court, you don't necessarily have as much of a say in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say whether or not going to court will end up with a better settlement for you than going to arbitration, but people emotionally tend to feel better about arbitration. The company and the plaintiffs.
Yeah.
They tend to feel better about it. A lot better than just like getting an offer and taking the settlement. Yeah. Arbitration, you get to tell your story. You're still telling a court reporter. You're still getting it down in words. You know, you're still telling somebody what happened, and so people feel better about that. Mm-hmm. It still kind of feels like you got your day in court. So emotionally, it seems to be more satisfying, I guess.
So on paper, it looks good.
Yeah, on paper it looks good.
but unfortunately, then the reality is that
it's not always as good.
The people who are your arbitrators can be the employees of the company, who at the end of the day, their job is to save the bottom line as much as they can.
And that depends on your state, and it depends on your company. Some states do not allow the arbitrator to be part of the company. I don't remember if Texas does or not. I don't think it does.
Probably don't.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Texas is one of those right to fire states. So
I've slept since that class, so I don't really remember.
Yeah. But actually, there's a really interesting documentary I just saw not that long ago called Hot Coffee, which talks about not only the hot coffee case, but tort reform and how it not only hurts lawsuits, but like everyone.
Yeah.
The whole civic case being fucked over in more and more states.
Well,
and how that hurts your ability to fight big companies.
Well, lawyers don't want to take a case if the defendant isn't someone with deep pockets, and they also don't want to take a case if it's a type of case that has a low cap. That's going to take more work than the amount of money they're going to get, and that makes sense.
It's a riskier gamble for your
Exactly.
lawyer. Your lawyer is basically gambling on your case. They're gambling that they're going to win, that they'll be able to win quickly so that you don't rack up all these fees that you can't pay.
Exactly.
So I know lawyers get a bad rep for being like bloodsuckers or whatever.
They're
but
really not.
They're really not. They have to do their job as efficiently and quickly as possible that they can get paid.
I can just tell you right now, lawyers eat so many costs, like court fees and costs and things like that. They do not deserve the bad rap that they get. I can tell you that right now. They really don't. They eat so much of that.
If I wasn't going to be a therapist, I would be a lawyer. That's one of my other jobs I wanted to be.
An English teacher.
If I had money and an ability to finish a degree, I would be a lawyer.
I've had at least once a semester, one of my professors asked me if I wanted to be a lawyer when I was growing up.
Yeah, I've had that too.
And I'm like, yes. What's your point?
Does this mean I'm right?
I win, don't I? You're only saying this because you're angry you lost.
Okay, so let's talk about what state protections are there, do you know of?
Well, the ACLU website actually has a pretty nifty map that will point you to what your particular state's protections might be. So we already had a commercial for them, but here's another one. ACLU.org, and then just search for state laws, and it'll pull up a whole map for you to click on what protections you have in your state. As far as like city level or county level or your company level, you just have to do your research, unfortunately, and it's not always easy to find.
No.
But that kind of ties in with stuff you should do if you think think you're being harassed or discriminated against.
Legal research is just so convoluted. Like there's a system to learn. I had to take an entire class that was just legal research. All it does is teach you how to read the books, how to do the citations, how to navigate through that whole labyrinth.
It's your how to research class.
Yeah, and I already know how to research, and I like researching, so that was a really fun class for me. I passed easily.
It sounds like a fun class when you talked about it.
It was fun. But, I mean, I'm not saying it was an easy class. I passed easily. Others did not.
You have to have the right mindset for research.
But basically, legal research is not easy.
Yeah.
So like, I had to take a whole class on it. There are entire textbooks written on how to do legal research. So
it's like any field, you know, doing research is like its own specialty in any big field.
We had one for psychology.
Yeah, we have classes for psychology that are basically just how to do research, how to do an experiment. Like, that's the whole class.
I had one for
so involved.
I had one for journalism too.
Yeah.
It's like how to find information, how to Google.
Yep.
Well, it was more in depth than that, but yeah.
There's specialized ways of researching.
There is. I had to learn how to fill out Freedom of Information Act requests and all sorts of stuff.
Right.
You can do that, like anyone.
Yep.
If you want the information and they won't give it to you, you can fill out a FOIA request.
Power to the people.
Like, what? I didn't know. I didn't know anyone could do this. Like, do you have to be a journalist? No, anyone can look this up if they really wanted to.
Sweet.
Fill out a request. Just with journalists, you have to do it a little bit earlier because you have to meet deadline.
Right.
Yeah, but anyways.
Well, let's talk about things you can do if you think you're being discriminated against.
Okay.
Because chances are probably good if you think you're in a harassing situation or you're being discriminated against, you probably are.
Yep.
So, and it could be any number of things. It could be ageism, it could be sexism, it could be because of your orientation or your gender identity or your birth status or where your nation of origin is from or whatever. There's anything you can think of might be the reason that you're being harassed or discriminated against. So you have to learn how to protect yourself, unfortunately, because people are shitty.
So the first one is don't quit right away.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of these cases don't even come up, is because when you're in an uncomfortable situation, it's pretty natural for you to just want to get out of that uncomfortable situation.
You just don't want to be there. But the Supreme Court basically says that if your employer has a published policy, it says here sexual harassment policy, but I think...
But it could apply to any kind of harassment.
I think it applies to any type of harassment or discrimination, that you have to report it under that policy and give the employer the opportunity to fix it. And if you don't, then you might lose your lawsuit. So
basically, if you quit because you're uncomfortable, you don't really have legal standing, unfortunately. So you have to deal with it for a while, which sucks.
And I have a good example about this, and Dory knows about this, and I told her about this. My first day at, not my current job, but my other job, I actually worked 2 jobs for a little while, working also at a grocery store. My very first day I went in, and it was actually transphobia, but the EEOC has ruled that discrimination as for trans folk falls under Title IX as sex discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was really bad. I mean, first time I went in, the guy training me was like, so where does Caitlin come from? That's just a weird name for a guy to have. I'm like, damn, girl. And then later on that evening, I come back from break and I hear him over next door in the deli because I worked in the bakery. And I hear him and some of the others talking and be like, well, maybe she's just one of those, she-males, he, she's, whatever, whatever. It was really bad.
Just don't say she-male ever.
Ever.
Or no, it was hermaphrodite. That's what it was.
Don't say that ever either.
Yeah, don't say either of them.
Unless you're talking about Hermaphrodite, who was an actual Greek god.
Well, Aphrodite is a Greek goddess.
Hermaphrodite was a name.
Well, no, hermaphrodite comes from combining Hermes and Aphrodite.
Yeah, because they had a kid together. Sort of. It was like a tree. I don't want to get into it.
Whatever.
Anyways.
Continue your story, Caitlin.
Hermaphrodite was a character, sort of.
But I did later on report it, but rather than saying, "Oh, I'm dealing with transphobia," I said, "Hey, I'm dealing with sexual harassment. I've been dealing with it for And I had other issues of other employees being like, "Dude, that guy's got tits," stuff like that, And I just say, "Hey, I've been dealing with sexual harassment, since day one. These are things I'm hearing, this kind of shit." And the manager said, "Hey, we'll deal with it." So, this is something you do.
Oh, I remember you talking about this when it happened.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's terrible. Okay, keep going.
They didn't deal with it very well. They dealt with it very horribly.
No.
This job sucked, by the way. I ended up quitting, but
We'll go down the list, and I'll refer to as we go down the list of how bad my job is.
We can all give an example of discrimination or harassment from the workplace. Unfortunately, all of us can give examples.
Yes, we could.
But I think
probably multiple examples.
I think mine takes the cake here, though. You know?
I think yours does. So you go on with your example.
I think we can go down the list here with mine of things I did here, because let's see. But I mean, it just the whole place got bad. I mean, we had.
Didn't they have some sort of meeting about it or something?
They did they didn't
and
have.
They didn't say your name, but they like specifically talked about. I can't
No,
remember
they outright
this.
said my name.
Did
Like
they?
what they call
Oh,
it.
good. That's even better.
Oh, yay.
They're like, oh,
Caitlin's made some complaints, so I guess we have to do this.
And they're like,
those damn trannies.
Yeah, I thought they.
It's not a man, it's a woman.
Yeah, it was like.
Yeah, that was the worst part about your story, is them saying it's not a man, it's a woman.
Ugh.
Nah, man. You just.
And then we had the racism over the loudspeaker to a customer.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, no, we had one of the bakery, one of the deli guys.
You were in like a redneck ass Kroger.
Oh my god.
We had one of the deli guys paging a customer for an order. Basically saying, hey, your order is ready. But the way they did it was they called up in like the most stereotypical yellow face Asian voice.
Yeah.
Oh my
being
god.
Like, customer order, 01, your order is ready. We love you long time.
Oh no.
Don't you mean rub you wrong time or whatever?
Yeah, something like that.
God.
We had one.
I used to have a manager who, like, our general manager at the time was Asian, and our CA, our culinary manager, basically, was this white guy, and he used to do that Asian talk thing, whatever it's called, like, all the time.
Yellow face.
Yeah, it was really annoying. He claimed that our general manager thought it was hilarious, but
that doesn't matter.
Knowing that guy, no, he did not find it hilarious. Like, if anyone knew our general manager, he would not think it was funny. He probably laughed out of, like...
Uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna fire you. Like, I will end you.
Right?
Oh, it was about all the worse because our store manager was in visible range of both the bakery and the deli, did nothing.
Oh.
Hooray. Well, let's go through our list some more.
All right.
Before I tell more stories about how horrible it was there.
Look, the next suggestion is look for the policy in your handbook. So, I have a quick story on this one. I'm feeling nostalgic because I went to visit the comic shop I worked at for 4 years today because my manager retired today, so I was like, oh, I should go see him. And so I was at my old comic shop that I worked at for a quarter of a decade or third of a decade, and that's where I transitioned. And when I came out to the owners of the company and told them about it, they were just like, oh, that's fine, just follow the female side of the handbook when it comes to dress code. But then I had a lower end supervisor who was still my supervisor, but then this person told me it was fine as long as I didn't wear skirts or dresses, is what they told me. And when, like, early on in your transition, you're, like, super accommodationist. You're, like, just happy that people aren't lynching you, or at least that's how I was when I came out. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I won't wear skirts or dresses. And then, like, 6 months later, I was like, wait a minute. No, fuck this. I'm not following special rules. And because it fell into the handbook, there was nothing they could do against it, so it worked out in my favor.
That doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't you be allowed to wear skirts or dresses?
I don't know what the hell their thinking was, but
it's like,
or it wasn't the owners. It was this one supervisor I had.
You can be feminine, but not too feminine.
Not too feminine.
Yeah.
It's like, what? People are gonna read me as female either way, right?
Right.
So what? Why does it matter?
Well,
I don't know.
If I remember correctly, the line of reasoning was, well, we work with kids, so we don't want the kids to ask questions. But I only had one.
What kids are gonna ask questions?
No, I mean, and especially I had a super easy transition on top of everything. So nobody batted an eye when I just switched what clothes I wore the next day.
All right.
All I had was one kid who said anything, and they just said, "Why are you wearing girl clothes?" "'Cause I'm a girl." "Oh, okay. Can you show me where I can find this comic?" "Yeah, sure, kid. Let's go do that."
Yeah, I don't understand that whole, well, we work with children. Okay.
And?
Your point?
You know, I was a little trans child at some point, right?
I was 7 years old at one point, too. All right, so the third
one's like the most important one.
Put it in writing.
Leave your own paper trail, like we were saying earlier.
Yeah, cannot stress this enough. It doesn't matter if you're supposed to call or meet with somebody, or if you don't have to file any sort of written report. Put it in writing. Write it down. Every single comment or like incident that contributed to the whatever harassment or discrimination you feel you're facing, write it down.
Keep a paper trail.
Exactly.
And keep using whatever means of reporting against this person you can. If you don't say anything about it, then they have all the power against you, unfortunately. So the next one on here is harassment isn't just sexual harassment. You can be harassed for all kinds of things, unfortunately. Yes. So just keep that in mind. If you feel uncomfortable at work for more than just like, oh, my boss is an asshole or something like that, if you feel uncomfortable and you're not sure why, just keep a journal of it, because hindsight's 20/20. So if you look back on things that have happened, you know, maybe you'll be like, oh shit, this is what's going on. So keep a journal if you're uncomfortable at work.
Something else, and this is something that's really shitty. A single incident is usually not enough to sue. The courts have found in some cases that 1 or 2 or even 4 instances of groping are not enough to
they're not extreme enough to sue over, according to some courts.
You have a single comment, grope, inappropriate email is not enough for a lawsuit.
That's why you've got to keep that paper trail.
Yeah,
you've got to keep a record of everything that's happened to you, so that you can show it's systematic, it's long term, it's something you have to deal with constantly.
Basically, like a single comment won't be enough, but if you have a comment plus grope plus inappropriate email plus calling at home plus asking for dates, you know, you have to show.
You have to build a case, basically. Exactly. Unfortunately.
So keep track of that shit. Your boss makes one comment one day and it rubs you wrong. Write that down. The next day your boss does something else. Write that down. The next day a coworker looks down your blouse or something. Write that down. It's something that you have to have. It has to be chronic, basically. Even which sucks. I mean, they shouldn't be able to get away with even a single instance of groping. That's sexual assault, right? Like what? I can get them arrested for this. Why can't I sue them for this?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. But that's just how the courts have ruled it.
Unfortunately.
Our courts are owned by corporations, so you know.
This next one is even more bullshit. Is they don't have to fire the harasser.
Nope, they don't.
And that's a suggestion for you, is that you're more likely to get results if you don't insist that they fire the harasser.
Yeah.
But you should try to. I mean, obviously you can't work with this person, so they need to work in a different department or move to a different location or something. But unfortunately, you can't really demand that someone gets fired.
Yeah. If you quit without following through, this kind of goes with number 1. If you quit without following through on the employer's policy, then you've basically given up your right to sue. You have to follow through, see what your employer does to try to remedy the situation, and follow through on that. And then you can look at your options if problems persist. So.
Their next suggestion is the employer has to investigate. So even if you have a strong case, you've got this long paper trail, everything else, the employer still has to back everything up. So they've got to interview your coworkers, the person that's been harassing you, witnesses, anything else. So they have to build their case and see if they can back up what you have, if you have anything, unfortunately. a lot of times with things like this, you don't even realize that it's happening until it's too late.
Yeah.
So
until you haven't done all these
until
things.
you haven't done all of these things. That's why it pisses me off when people are like, oh, there's so many of these court cases tying up, because it's so damn hard to get a case that you can win with something like this, with discrimination and
plus,
harassment.
You know, it's not that this many court cases are tying up the courts, it's that this many are happening.
Yeah.
This many are enough to be able to be reported and, you know,
and have a case to go to court.
Exactly. It takes a lot. Most court cases are basically weeded out of the system before they ever get a court date. So if there are that many cases tying up the courts, then think about how many cases of harassment there have been. How many cases of discrimination have there been?
It's just like when we talk about underreporting with sexual assault. You know, that's an underreporting because of all the shit that's stacked against you. And it's the same thing with this when it comes to harassment and discrimination.
It's underreported, and then even before it gets to the courts, it's
settled out of court, or it's wheedled through somehow.
Or the plaintiff drops the case because it's just too time consuming. It's too difficult.
And even more so, that's getting to the next point, is even fewer people even step up and report it to the company.
Yep.
Exactly.
But we've got a good link to the rest of these. There's just a few more, but they're just keep reporting it, so you have to stick with it so that you can show it's chronic discrimination. You're not alone, so it's extremely unlikely that you're the only person that's being discriminated against in a big enough company.
I have to say, the reason the manager that basically sent me to the hospital, the reason he's gone is because somebody stepped forward and filed a formal complaint against him. And
even though that was only one incident, like you said,
one incident,
but then everyone else had other incidents to back up that one.
Seriously, about 3 days after the formal complaint was sent, our general manager's boss came in to observe this manager on the floor, and then was there the next day, and then the next time that manager was in, he was asked to go home. Not by our general manager, but by his boss's boss's boss.
Damn.
That's how high up this went.
Yep.
And it really took one person filed I think he'd been to other restaurants and been transferred around a lot over the past year.
Yeah.
But basically, one formal complaint, and then they interviewed a few other people. I wish they had interviewed me. I had so much shit. Oh my god. This guy, awkwardly hugged me.
Yeah.
And then when it was clear I didn't like it, he was like, oh, was it? Oh, it's because
you're part of some weird religion, right?
Yes, that's what he said. He said, you're part of some weird religion, right? And this is in front of other hosts. This was not a private conversation.
Not that it would be acceptable even in a private conversation.
It wouldn't, but it was even worse. And I was like, no. And he goes, what religion are you? And I just said, no.
No.
But anyways, it took one formal complaint. And then they interviewed a whole bunch of other people, and they're like, yeah, I had the same problem. Oh, also he was doing this other stuff. Also he was going outside to smoke when he's not supposed to.
Yeah.
Also he was doing this, and they're like, oh, we didn't know all of that.
Well, I guess we'll just shit can this asshole then.
Pretty much. It's like, also he sent this girl to the hospital. Also, it's like...
It only takes one person to open the floodgates, potentially.
I guarantee you, if someone's being an asshole to you, they're probably being an asshole to a lot of other people.
Because they're probably just an asshole.
Yeah.
Even though the odds are stacked against you, you might not even have to go all the way to court to get what you need to do your job.
Yeah.
Like this asshole getting shit canned.
Exactly.
None of you are getting money in court or anything, but
nope.
Problem solved on your ends, right?
I just get to go to work knowing that he won't be there.
Yeah,
that's
a win
enough.
situation.
I got to work Monday, I was like, he's not here? No.
He'll never be here again?
Will he ever be here again? No. Oh my god, I was so happy.
Celebrate good times, come
Pretty
on.
Much. I just thought, I never have to hear his stupid voice over the headset ever again. I'm so excited. And that's
I know one of the guy who was being really transphobic to me got his shit canned.
Yeah, it makes sense for if they can nip it in the bud quickly, and all they have to do to not have a lawsuit is fire someone, they'll probably just fire someone.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if there are enough people having a problem with it. I mean, even the other managers had a problem with this guy. So it wasn't, they knew that it was
It's not cost effective for them to have this guy on.
Why do we want to keep him? We don't. Yeah.
Well,
is that it for the night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems like a good spot.
Yep. So just, again, the bottom line is if you think something's happening, just keep a journal. That's the best advice we can give you, because that journal can help you in the future.
Keep a journal and report it, and then keep reporting it if it keeps happening.
And mark dates in your journal. Be specific about dates and times.
Yep.
Yeah, they wanted me to. I've had to write a couple statements for work, and they want you to have specific days and times, and I'm like, I don't remember those.
Yeah, that's what sucks.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Spreaker and Twitter. Join us for next week when our topic will be the Hunger Games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
I think I still have those books downloaded. I'll reread them.
Have you seen the second movie yet?
I have.
Okay.
It was really good.
See? So we'll talk about the books and the movies and whether or not it's feminist or not, and what problems and awesome things we like about it, and we'll nerd out about it. It'll be awesome.
Yay! Just like the Harry Potter episode.
Yay! I'm excited about Hunger Games too, but I have more conflicting emotions about it than Harry Potter.
Yeah,
I just love Harry Potter. So, in the interest of being fair and unbiased, here is tonight's counter argument.
Okay, this is Catherine, who says, growing up, I had a best friend. We parted ways after high school. 10 years later, we got back in touch. I'm really glad to see her because I've always thought of her as my sister. But recently, I invited her to meet my children. She said yes and asked if she could bring her, quote, partner. I said okay. I know that my friend's family has shunned her because of her lifestyle, and I don't want to be like that. I want to show love, but I don't want her to think I'm okay with her ways. And I don't feel comfortable having her around my children. Should I keep this friendship?
Well, I think you keep love. You loved her, you were close, and your influence may have something significant to her. So the idea is you don't gain anything by shunning, but at the same time, you don't want your children to grow up as lesbians. That's what you're talking about. You don't want to show them that that's an acceptable lifestyle for your family. So you just need, I think, it doesn't hurt to tell somebody, look, I love you, and we're going to do what we can to be friends if we can, but I just, I have my lifestyle, it's Christian, and you have yours, it's not. And so I'm sorry that, we can't indulge in certain things together. I think if you're honest, I believe people respect that.
What the hell are you doing, Cartman? My mom said if you want to become a lesbian, you have to lick carpet. Really? This is a bunch of crap. I've been licking this carpet for 3 hours and I still don't feel like a lesbian.
Lift me up, let me go all silvery. Planet smooth while you're lying next to me. Like the sun sakes.
So, what's our Easter egg for tonight?
Fuck Easter eggs. Let's go do some taxes. Do the hell out of these taxes.
I want my computer back so I can use internet.